Welcome back to the Human Nexus podcast. My name is Andrew Brazis. I am a marketing professional and private chef.
Welcome back. My name is Miss Laura Machiste. I am an online tarot reader, holistic massage therapist, and energy coach. And today we are talking about Aries season and the astrological new year. It's so interesting. It's like there's like 3 New Years. January 1st and the Lunar New Year,
Mhm.
and then the Astrological New Year, which is so interesting because we just did the episode on the Lunar New Year. So
Mhm.
go check that out if you have not yet already. But it seems like the Lunar New Year, they go for moon cycles as well as it seems like astrological goes more or less with the sun cycles,
Mhm.
which I find very interesting because Aries season starts March 20th, usually bringing in the spring equinox in like the northern hemisphere and or vice versa. Maybe I know what Australia, they're reverse from us.
Mhm.
So possibly that starts up their colder seasons. But there was this thing where I feel like a lot of people started talking about it, where they started realizing, like, why is the new year January 1st? It doesn't feel like a new time.
Yeah.
Earth isn't telling you that it's being renewed at the moment either. And I feel like if we didn't have a calendar or anything back in the day, if we were just like caveman and cave women, we probably would signify spring blossoming as the new year because
Mhm.
of nature telling us so. As somebody that's born right before it, I feel like that could explain a lot of the heavier energies, self reflection, and things that Pisces season brings, which we also
Mhm.
talked about Pisces season as well. And an episode maybe two or so ago, if you want to check that one out. But I personally feel like it makes a lot of sense when you think about the zodiac signs and what body part they rule.
Can you briefly touch on that? Because we did an episode way back. I think it was like 15 or something about that, but just as a refresher.
Yeah, so there's this thing called the man in the sky, which
Mhm.
in old zodiac wheels, you'll see that the wheels or the
Mhm.
wheel goes around to all the zodiacs, but in ancient, older ones, you'll see there's a man who is
Mhm.
like creviced like so in the middle of the wheel. They call him Jacob.
Mhm.
But Jacob means the man in the sky. So Aries rules the head.
Mhm.
So it tells you, even in that direction, what goes first. And usually I feel like maybe not in hospital ways of giving birth because I feel like they push C-sections a lot more now than they used to. But usually in giving birth, a lot of the times a doctor does would like, preferably the best way to give birth is for the head to come out first,
Mhm.
which I find so interesting with that like birth energy, new year
Yeah.
energy, and just like all of those connections. And that's when I kind of was like, okay, yeah, it's makes sense. It's right in our face. And
That's
however they
interesting
want
too,
to.
because I don't know if I have any Aries in my chart, but Aries, oh, you're an Aries rising, right?
Yeah.
The areas that I know, I guess, and maybe you can validate this, but you're pretty like head forward. Like you're pretty, what's the word? I had it and then I lost it. It said something earlier about just being like at the front. Like I feel like Aries naturally are leaders, a little more hot-headed, probably, out of the fire signs. Not that I've ever experienced that with you in any way, but yeah, I just think it's so interesting that it's like the leading, and it's the youngest zodiac sign, right? Technically, or like not youngest, but
Well, yeah, they are considered the babies.
yeah, yeah.
And then Taurus is like the adolescent. Gemini is like right in that middle stage of like adolescent to teenage and stuff like that, which we did do an episode on. But I have a lot of Aries people around me. I really like Aries energy. I feel like the evolved sense of Aries, probably hot headed and impulsive when it probably isn't best to do that.
Mhm.
But a lot of the times, if anybody is in a group that's going to stand up for you, it's going to be the Aries.
Yeah.
I feel like Aries people are in positions of not only standing up for themselves, but for other people at the same time. Because Aries is the god of war that's linked to Aries. So it's actually spelled Ares. I don't know where the I came through. I mean, maybe that was just their way, shape, and form of just like changing it around. But a lot of the times when Mars is playing a big role in something, Mars used to be Scorpio's ancient ruler. So there are similarities between Aries people and Scorpio people. And I would say the similarity rules down to the intensity of these people, the intensity of the signs. And I mean, as an Aries rising, I feel like I've had a lot of impulse. I used to call myself the queen of confrontation
Mm,
because I would be growing up and people would be scared to do this or scared to do that. And I'll just be like, I'll just do it for you.
yeah.
And did I get into like fights or things like that? I would say I got into more verbal arguments than physical arguments. But there is like this funny meme where like or I don't even know if it's real, but about like a guy who opened up a club and the only zodiac sign he doesn't allow in is Aries because he doesn't want any type of like police being called or fights breaking out. So they do have that stereotype, but I feel like, you know, fighting for something or fighting for what's right is needed.
Hmm.
And I feel like Aries is definitely going to be the one to do so. Like I can see Aries being the one to like start the revolution of something or
Yeah.
Aries being that energy of leading a group.
And it's interesting that it is like the beginning. And I feel like Aries are, at least Aries that I know, are people who are like initiating those things. So like they're the ones who are taking the initiative or at least being outspoken about it, which
Right.
just lines up. And I think that also lines up with going back to like the astrological new year, March being spring. And like, I mean, for me personally, I feel like that's when I start coming alive, really. And like I see that reflected in business a lot, on which I've talked about in previous podcast episodes. What would you say, like, how would you also describe Aries season?
I feel like Aries season is a pretty good time collectively because it kind of gets you out of that like Pisces emotional depth of things and kind of brings you out of that energy of, all right, now that you have gone through the reflection of the 12th house of Pisces, what are you
Mm,
ready to do? Self house, first house of Aries. A lot of people may find themselves an Aries season focusing on either like a lifestyle routine, something that would change the way that they look. Haircuts are really prominent during Aries season. I feel like in this way, shape, and world, like aesthetics, like Botox, things like that, like lashes or more makeup or like things along those lines. Aries ruling the first house of body image. You'll see
hmm
a lot of people change their look in Aries season, and it's a good time to do it. It's a better
Yeah.
time than other seasons for sure, which is funny because my mom is feeling the need that she wants to get a haircut and stuff like that. So
God, that's so
she has like
wild
the
how that
same
lines up.
hairstyle throughout like the whole year. And like as we're
Yeah.
getting closer to Aries season, she's like, I'm gonna cut my hair like this. Not that that's why I said it. It's just something that aligned with what the moment
Yeah.
is. But first house body image, your aura, like how you present yourself to people is like really strong in Aries energy. And Aries season may bring about like a change of that approach where certain people in Aries season, they may be like, I actually want to take less action or maybe I want
Mm.
to take more action. So Aries season could bring about like maybe where you are being over impulsive or maybe where you need to be a little bit more bold and action oriented.
Yeah, I think when I think of Aries too, I think of just like boldness or like that Shia LaBeouf video he did in, I don't know, it was like 2007, 2008 when he was like, just do it. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's
Hmm.
what I think of Aries season. Like
Yeah.
that's like my What do you think about Mercury being in retrograde most of the time?
Well, Mercury is when does it go
Well,
direct?
oh, sorry. I'm wrong. It goes direct on the 20th, so we actually would still be in Pisces season.
Oh yeah, so we're
Um,
having a Mercury retrograde in Pisces during Pisces season.
yes.
Right.
And not to tangent too far, but for my notes here, it looks like this month, I don't know the dates, but Saturn returns into Aries. Neptune also returns into Aries.
I think that might have already happened. Does this
It,
give
it
you a date?
I just have these in notes. I don't have the exact
Oh,
dates
okay,
right
okay,
now.
okay.
I just thought it was really interesting that we're entering Aries season, and then we have these planets that are going into Aries, which is not always common in the season that it's happening in.
Right.
So that's, if I understand correctly, that would empower those planets for those signs specifically, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to give off an energy no matter what. Like, even if you have Aries in your chart somewhere, it doesn't have to specifically be in Saturn or
Mhm.
Neptune.
Yeah.
But I feel like Aries, I mean, I have a lot of Aries around me, and it looks like collectively right now they're going through reflecting on decisions and putting themselves first again.
Hmm.
So when a planet stations into Aries for from now to whatever amount of years, it's going to collectively bring a lot of people back into their independence or
Hmm.
kind of like this energy of family, friends, partners who values my independence and doesn't make me feel claustrophobic. I feel like that's really going to be highlighted this year of Aries season because of the moves with Neptune and Saturn. I feel like this Aries season is really going to heighten who makes me feel confined and who can I feel my free spirited independent self with. And I feel like that could be a make or break for like relationships at large
Yeah.
because Aries' sister sign is Libra. So Libra rules the seventh house of relationships. So
Mm.
Aries is that total opposite of like, well, I'm independent. I don't need to do this with other people.
Yeah.
So in this moment of specifically this year of 2026 of Aries season with these two movements, I feel like it's really going to highlight who your relationships are and how do they uplift your independence or do they take from it?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And I think too, like it being the start of the astrological season, I would say that's one of the most important things. Like you don't want to have any sort of romantic, platonic friendship, family relationship that you're feeling like you can't be yourself or like you feel stuck and not independent in that way. Yeah.
I would say fast decisions as well with this Aries season because of those two movements of those
Mhm.
planets. That's one of the things I love about Aries people. They walk fast, they talk fast. Like I give that off in my
Yeah,
rising sign.
you can talk fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I talk
Yeah.
pretty fast. I even talk so fast that I even talk over myself. It's
Uh,
crazy. It's like, how is that even possible? But I'm a very, very, very fast walker.
mhm.
Like, if I'm in the mall, I have already figured out where I need to zigzag all the way up there, and I'm still all the way over here. So I would say the evolved sense of Aries would sit in that energy of fast paced, practical steps where
Mhm.
kind of like the example I just gave of if I'm walking in the mall and I want to get past these people, I'm not just going to pay attention to the couple people in front of me. An evolved Aries would pay attention to, all right, well, who am I going to have to scatter around once I get past these people?
Mhm.
So I would say unevolved Aries would just worry about like what's stationed right in front of them, and evolved Aries would worry, not I wouldn't say worry, but take the right action for what's ahead as well.
Mhm.
So I feel like Aries, if you are like somebody who is super like maybe like a slower moving person, having an Aries around you consistently, it will help you either reflect on where you could maybe be a little bit more action oriented or even the opposite way, where some people may perceive that as like, whoa, you're going way too fast for literally no reason, you know?
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I think too, like when I'm reading here, I forgot Aries is represented by the ram, and then I'm also reading about it acting on instinct, which I feel like instinct and intuition, I mean, are kind of different things, but like coming out of Pisces, the intuitive portion into instinct is a really, I don't know, nice transition. And I think of like the unevolved Aries, as you described it, being like that impulse, and then like the refined Aries would be more of instinctual, or it's like a little bit more thought out.
Right. Do you ever watch Hercules?
Yeah, like the
Phil,
car- the yeah, Phil, the cartoon one. Yeah, yeah.
he is a ram.
Yeah.
So he would be considered like Aries in form. So if you do watch Hercules,
Oh
what
shit, yeah, he's like super hot-headed and like
yes.
yeah, yeah.
But he helped Hercules go
Hmm.
the distance
Yeah.
to become what saved
That's so interesting.
their
I didn't
world at that time.
yeah. God, that's good.
I
That's a
knew
good
I was like
analogy.
I was like I'm gonna mind blow you right now.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Hercules actually gives that off in all zodiac signs though. If you
Hmm.
see when they're in the God world, the messenger thing, the one that's flying around like
Hmm.
Zeus, Zeus, whatever, that's Gemini. They're really, really, I'm not sure if it's like just like the lady that's just like walking around or if it was Hercules' mom's, but mom or one of the women who is like pink and flowy is supposed to represent Venus. But Phil, the one who trains Hercules, right? Trains him for war,
Hmm.
the god of war. He played the biggest part.
Yeah.
And in the movie, in that moment when when Hercules was choosing Meg, the love, the
Hmm.
Venus over the Aries independence, you kind of see that like play out in the movie. But you wouldn't know to, I guess, perceive it that way if like you didn't know this. So next time
Yeah.
you watch Hercules,
That makes me
think of
want to
it
rewatch it.
from that standpoint and you'll be mind blown for sure. But at the end of the day, Hercules didn't just need Phil, but he needed that belief in himself at the
Hmm.
same time. And yeah, there's a lot of random symbolism specifically for Aries in that movie because Phil plays such a huge part.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like I mean, the whole theology behind all of that and like what do you call it? Connecting the two. How do you feel about the astrological new year? Because I've recently seen some other astrologers and influencers talk about like you have the one side of the coin is like the astrological new year is the beginning, is like when things are starting. And then I've also seen people say it doesn't really matter because the collective is much more powerful. So if the collective thinks January 1st is the new year, then that's the new year, which I thought was interesting. But like how I don't know, like how do you feel about that? Where do you fall in that category?
You know what's interesting is I've had a couple of conversations with people close to me about random things that like could interconnect to this question. And I personally feel not to like say anything bad about those people that said like, oh, well, collective energy matters most. People forget that collective isn't just your country. It's
Hmm.
not just your continent. Collective is the whole world at large. So the collective, yeah, maybe majority of the collective go for January 1st, but you have all of these Asian cultures that don't. They
Hmm.
have billions and billions of people on their continent. And then you have people like me who, or like you have people that are, kind of are into the energy of all three that are happening. So I feel like with that, there is truth in like collective energy movement.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, if nothing else existed, like I said, if we were all cavemen or cave women, we had no religions, we had caves, we'd have no homes, we'd have just like where we are at, where we are stationed, what we have built for ourselves, we would go with the planet of Gaia, of
Yeah.
Earth. So technically, because the Earth spins in the way it does spin, and for example, people who are watching this from Australia are going to be like, well, we have it at a different time. So how does
Hmm.
that make? I would say that it just matters where you land. And specifically for astrology, that is why when you do birth chart readings and stuff like that, where you were born, that's why they ask you for that. If
Yeah.
it didn't matter, it wouldn't matter. But the asking where you were born in terms of location does change your reading.
Hmm.
And I feel like no matter where you are, there are at least three of them you can take. You could take January
Yeah.
1st, you could take the Lunar New Year, or you could take the planet's New Year. there are an abundance of New Year's that are going to be heightened. It just depends, I feel like, where you're at, what you believe in, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, and the whole collective thing is something that I just recently discovered of like, I thought all astrologers kind of like bought into the astrological new year or like the lunar new year. And I never thought of it in a collective way. And I think for me, I approached it as like, you have your three astrological signs, right? Sun, moon, rising. And I kind of feel that way of like, you're not your rising sign, but you have those three different categories. So the collective is like the what's your rising sign, like the external world and how you're like how you perceive or how you're perceived in that realm.
Right,
And to me that's like January 1st, at least in the States, everybody's like, oh, New Year's resolutions, like there's this like outward perception. And then the Lunar New Year is like that internal reflection time. And then the astrological New Year is like when shit actually really starts to like develop and move.
right.
At least for me. But yeah, I think you're right on the location bit because I think that's, the most important is where you're at geographically. It's so strange though how we're all on these different timelines, really.
Yeah, it is crazy. But I would say with, what you said too, like makes a lot of sense too, like connecting the sun, moon, rising to those three
Hmm.
heightened collective New Year's. I kind of just feel like how everybody has their own truth or their own way or their own like type of thing. Like, hey, if January 1st works for you, then it works for you. You might have a lot of really strong Capricorn, and that's just your season of making things happen for yourself. Like, for me, I feel like, and see, that doesn't even make sense either. For me, I feel like
I was
my
gonna say, 'cause
best.
I have three, what was it? I have three things in Capricorn and
There you go. So
I
January
hate
1st.
January.
Oh, okay, never mind. All
Yeah.
right. Well, the
Not to
dual,
disprove your yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
duality of life, you could either like really, really love it or really, really dislike it. But I have become aware of like my cycles and my seasons and my years like throughout living, like once I decided to like actually like pay attention. And I'm totally backwards to what they feel like collectively for people. Like
Mhm.
my best time of locking in and doing something like a health routine for myself or something like that is during winter. Once it
Interesting.
gets warmer out, I get like more, all right, well, I will have this extra brownie or I will have, which makes no sense because
Yeah.
usually it's the other way around where you lock in more on your health and your lifestyle and your look for Aries season when it starts
Hmm.
getting warmer. But for me, I'm totally backwards. I can stick to a routine so well fall and winter, but once I start feeling the warmth again, throws me off.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like in that respect, it is always dependent on where I'm at emotionally. Like it's
Yeah,
never been consistent, like as far as locking, because there's been years where I've locked in all winter long and it's been great. And then I just like say fuck it for springtime. But that's just where I'm at emotionally. But like there's
mhm,
been other years where that's not been the case.
right.
Yeah, it's
You know what I feel
so
like
strange.
messes us up too, which actually happens in Aries season as well, is the time change. I
I
feel
hate it
like,
so much.
yeah, I feel like fall back and spring forward. I feel like those mess us up
Yeah.
collectively. I feel like, and it's not even that big of a jump, but in all retrospect, it actually is because we didn't get spring forward yet. But
Mm-hmm.
you see, the earth is doing it on its own. It's
Mm-hmm.
already giving us more daylight. But then when spring comes, we push it an hour forward and then we give ourselves that extra hour of daylight at night. And then when the fall comes, it does the fall back and then it pushes us back that hour when you'll see when winter starts to come, the earth then starts to do it on its own. It brings us more darkness earlier. So I personally feel like daylight savings time messes with our circadian system way more than we realize, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
just that hour or two throughout the year.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. I mean, it started to get lighter here in the morning, which I've been way more productive because I'm like, oh, like I can actually like get up and do things instead of like, well, it's still dark. I'll sleep for another 30 minutes, which turns into be 3 hours,
Right.
because that's who I am as a person. But it's just like I lose so much productivity, which is really important.
So, as a tarot reader, to connect what I do to this moment here that we're talking about, Aries rules one of two major arcanas that hold a lot of strength too. One, Aries rules the Fool. And I find that interesting because the
I did not know
Fool,
that.
yeah, the Fool is zero, number zero in the
Mm.
tarot. And in numerology, zero is considered like the space in between. Like
Mhm.
nines rule your completions and your endings, ones rule your new beginnings. So zero falls right in between both of those. So zero is kind of like that space in between the old life, the new life, the old cycle, the new cycle, the, I guess you could say, conception to the birth, like zero could kind of give me that energy of like, oh my God. And I just connected the fact that women are pregnant for 9 months. Okay, I don't know why I'm going off of it. I'm like, wait, hold
Because
on. Because I'm thinking
yeah,
of
that's okay.
Aries and the baby and like how women are
Hmm.
pregnant for 9 months and how Aries rules that Fool card, which is considered zero, which would kind of like be like the birth
Hmm.
in the middle of the end of your holding the pregnancy and actually holding the baby would be the birth.
Hmm.
So interesting, interesting. See,
It's
I'm
very
like
interesting.
making
And
connections right
I feel
now.
like not to take this tangent too far off the rails, but I feel like I mean tarot and astrology are one and one. I mean they tarot's based off of astrology.
Right.
For those that don't know that, so that makes a lot of sense because it should represent that. And I think it's really crazy how in tarot the full card being zero is almost always like a new start. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Zeros with that Aries energy too. The Fool will give me like starting from scratch energy.
Hmm.
So if you are watching this and you're wondering, all right, what's like one of the best things to do during Aries season? Starting from scratch, things that you've never experienced before. And Aries rules the Emperor, card number 4, who is considered like the boss, the employer, the father. So any type of leadership roles could be extremely heightened during Aries season as well. A lot of the times when people feel like they are being taken advantage of or they're kind of just tired of the community that they're in, Aries season is usually the season that'll push them into independence somehow, some
Hmm.
way. So I feel like anything along those lines, but those are two really strong cards, like the Emperor and the Fool. The fact that they hold those two major arcanas, I feel like is really important. And then now I'm about to rewatch Hercules because I'm like, yeah, like that Phil dude played such a big part in it. And I
Hmm.
wonder if like Aries energy can be worked with on a specific level that is a lot more expansive than you think it could be because from the mythology of Aries, Aries was like the god of war. He was like the most disliked son of Zeus. Like there is power in rising up to, I guess you could say, my dad used to say this to me when we were young and we were crying. He would say, "Don't be sad, get mad." And I never understood why he said that to me and whatever. And then I would get all mad or whatever. But after the mad stage, I feel free. Like, oh, I guess that's what I needed. And then once I started getting into spirituality, learning about the body, teaching people, then what I have learned on the themes of consciousness, all the way at the bottom is sadness. But right when you get up to breaking the threshold of the 4D and the
Hmm.
3D, right there, it's anger is
Interesting.
what breaks you through the 3D to the 4D. And my dad was not spiritual. He did read the Bible like a bunch of times though.
Yeah.
But he was not like, I guess you could say, my type of spiritual.
Hmm.
So the fact that he like knew that without knowing that like the consciousness chart showed that too, I feel like not to go say to yell at everybody and whatever, but I instead of being like sad about a situation, like turn it around and like, oh, I'm so upset this person did this to me. Turn it around like an Aries would do and be like, how dare they do
Yeah.
that to me? Almost like in more of like an independent energy of
Yeah, I
like,
mean it's a lot of like taking
yeah,
your power back from a situation. Yeah, that
exactly.
was removed from you in a lot of ways.
Right.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Anything else, Dad?
That's what I got. I think that's good.
No, I think that's great. Next time, we're going to be going over life path numbers. So for those who are interested, Laura, aren't you do life path numbers, correct?
Yeah,
Like
I
life path?
do life path reports for people
Yes.
where I will tell them their life path
Hmm.
number, their lucky days of the month, the year. I'll go through all that in the next episode as well. But yeah, actually, before we leave here, I did tell my channels to watch this, and maybe there are certain people on here. But there is a show, Andrew, you think you should also watch this show as well.
Hmm.
It's called Battle of Fates.
Oh, I was watching your thing where you're talking about that.
When
Yeah.
I was talking about it? Okay.
Yeah.
So for the people on the podcast, it's basically about like a whole bunch of different like spiritual people that are asked the same question, and whoever has the most accurate answer makes it to the next round. And it's an amazing, amazing watch,
What
especially if you are spiritually activated or maybe think that you have like a gift or something.
what's it streaming on? Where do you find it?
Hulu.
On Hulu.
It's in
Yeah.
Korean, so you have to put subtitles on, but it's
Hmm.
fine. It's an easy watch. It's not
Yeah,
hard
that's
to
good.
watch.
Yeah, you were talking about that, and I was like, this sounds so intriguing. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye.